proven to have Jared Goff's number. Because Bill Belichick he's very good at discovering weaknesses and making players do things that they're not good at, like not giving you an option, but to perform this thing that you are not, 100% apt at doing. And so for Jared Goff, it was a bunch of pressure. I'm not sure what he's going to do to Jacoby Brissett. I'm confident that they're going to be able to do it. The one thing that I worry about is their ability to stop that Cleveland running game, because nobody's been able to slow down Nick Chubb yet.
Well, and that's what I'm saying is so New England, you're saying, they take away the number one option, they do all these things, but how are they going to take away Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt?
What I'm saying is that if you can't throw the ball, here's what happens. Like, in theory, a running back who carries the ball 20 plus times and averages 5.5 to 6 yards a carry, it's like, well, that's unstoppable. Just keep handing him the ball, right? But in reality, what happens? The reason the average is like that is because sometimes he runs for 9, and then 2, and then 11, and then 2. And it happens that way. So and if you're trying to sustain a drive that way, what's going to end up happening is you're just going to stall on 2 consecutive runs at some point and find yourself in 3rd and long. And I think in enough of those situations, Jacoby Brissett is going to be forced into mistakes, because he's not exactly like the numbers don't bear out that he's the ball protector that people make him out to be.
Okay. And I can definitely see that being the game plan, and I like that as the game plan. Devil's advocate on the other side, I'd say, Jacoby Brissett, like a lot of people think he's taken a step forward this year. I think he's just actually a really good fit in that offense. You know what I mean? Just because it is such a running offense that he's able to take advantage of that.
Play action really works well for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But I also think that's going to be tough to stop. I think Zappy is definitely going to be a factor on the other side. Cleveland's defense is not that bad. So having a 3rd string quarterback over there is not so bueno. I don't know.
Hey, they like Zappy a lot.
I would take Cleveland here.
He's a little older, I think. Yeah. Oh, cool. The Lions were averaging like 32 points a game or something like that going into New England last week, and they got shut out.
I saw that.
Yeah. So fantasy-wise, there's not a whole lot to get excited about, other than, if you're living under a rock, you don't know that Ramondre Stevenson is probably the best start in fantasy football, this weekend.
Yeah. We definitely needed to highlight that Ramondre Stevenson is definitely somebody you should be putting in your lineup, going after whatnot this week.
Jacoby Myers,
2 to 3 weeks.
The ownership level on Jacoby Myers suggests that he might be available in some of the leagues of anybody who's listening. So he's a good person to look out for. If you can find him, I would pick him up and start him.
For sure.
He should be starting. He shouldn't be available at all, but he is. On the other side, they're at home, so you can start Amari Cooper. And the Patriots have been a little weak against tight ends this year, so you can start David Njoku with some confidence. And his numbers just look awesome. And like how he's still only $4,000 on DraftKings, I don't know.
Wait, who's only 4?
David Njoku.
Oh, okay. Sorry, a little bit of a lag or something going on between us here.
Yeah, so I'm going to take the Patriots to win this game.
I think I'm going to take the Patriots as well.
Oh, damn it. Now I know the Browns are going to win.
Yeah.
I get to lone wolf the Browns here? I love that.
Sucker.
Says
I feel confident about
the
that one.
Steelers fan.
I think I got it about as good as I'm going to get it. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the Jets-Packers.
My favorite game of the weekend.
So,
and it's just because I'm a Jets fan now. In case anybody who's listening,
we've noticed.
I am.
So Jets are +7. The -105. The over/under is 45.
The disrespect is
money line plus
unbelievable. So because I'm a fan of the Jets, I'm more excited to talk about the fantasy prospects of this game than I am to talk about what I actually think is going to happen, because I don't think the Jets are going to win this game.
Brian, do you think the Jets are going to win?
No.
Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and
I
just
think
put that
Green
down
Bay's
now.
gonna be able to pull this one out at home.
Then we
Yeah.
can move on to fantasy.
I think so too. I think this game, this is a sneaky fantasy bonanza game. I think this could be a shootout. The Jets haven't
That
really
wouldn't shock me.
the Jets haven't really had to do it in the last couple of weeks, or excuse me, they didn't really have to last week, but they threw the ball around a lot in the Pittsburgh game, and I think they could have some success against the Packers defense, because the Packers were giving it up to the Giants. They made the Giants look really good, and I think the Giants don't compare to the Jets in terms of their skill position players as weapons. So yeah, I'm super excited about Breece Hall this weekend. I really want to see Garrett Wilson get back into the spotlight a little bit, because he's been kind of off the radar.
He's definitely fallen off a bit.
Yeah, he's cooled down considerably. So I want to see him get some more targets and see him get some more work, because he's like, if he doesn't, he's one of those players that 4 weeks ago we were very excited about, and he looks so good that you couldn't imagine moving on from him. But if you have another week where if this is like I was just saying, and it ends up being kind of a shootout, and he doesn't have a good game, he becomes one of those players you can probably move away from.
Is this tequila mine? Okay.
I would start him, and I would start Corey Davis, and I would start Breece Hall.
Whoa. Sorry, you cut out a little bit there. So you'd start Garrett Wilson and you'd start Corey Davis?
Yeah. Because
in what type of league? Like, where are you starting them at? Like, okay, so let's bring this to our league. So our league is
in our league
3 wide receivers and a flex.
Yeah, in our league. Okay, it's important to preface this. There's buys happening right now, so I think
how many buys are there this week?
4.
4. Okay.
And there's some really good ones, so Las Vegas, Detroit, Houston, and Tennessee. So there's people that are missing Devontae Adams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, all the smart people who picked up Josh Reynolds. There's no Darren Waller, there's no Josh Jacobs, there's no Derrick Henry. There's a lot of players. There's no Dameon Pierce, there's no Brandon Cooks. There's a lot of players that are missing this weekend. So when we start having bye weeks, a lot more players become interesting. So yeah, I think if you're somebody who has Garrett Wilson on your roster, and I mean, for me personally, I'm not starting him this weekend, but I have a lot of depth at wide receiver.
And that's what I'm saying. You have him on your team. We have this deep, 3 receivers and a flex, and you're not starting.
I have a lot of depth. I have, and but I feel like I'm gambling. I do feel like I'm gambling. I want to start him over DJ Moore, and then that's my decision in our league, is that it's either DJ Moore or Garrett Wilson, and I just feel like DJ Moore they're going to be behind. Okay. They're going to be behind for sure against the Rams. So, and the Rams have.
Who do you think is going to score more, Garrett Wilson or Corey Davis?
While Ken's thinking about that,
do you think that's a toss-up?
I do, because I think they're going to get an equal amount of targets, and it just kind of matters what they do with him, because Garrett Wilson could have easily put up more points over the last couple of weeks, but he's had a couple of drops. So
do you think they could both put up startable numbers?
Yes, I do. That's what I'm saying is I do think this is a week where you can start those guys and you can it's going to go well. I think there's going to be a lot of points in this game.
So what a busy's back.
What's up, buddy?
What a busy.
He's letting us know that he picked up Geno Smith because Goff's on a bye.
Oh man, I hope you didn't have to start Goff last weekend. That's terrible.
And just so everybody knows, just kind of repeat this. Brian is having he is in a circumstance basically that he has to call in today, so that's why he sounds a little off, and that's why we're not broadcasting his face.
No Brian face.
Sorry, guys.
That being said, for all you concurrent viewers, we are currently discussing for their 2023 season starting a fantasy. So Whatabazy, the viewer fantasy league that will be starting, you'll probably be one of the first people we invite to that league. So just a heads up, something maybe to look forward to next year.
Maybe.
Yeah, that would definitely be cool.
Maybe.
So, moving on to the next game.
Are we? Did we pick this game? So, like I said, I was excited about the fantasy stuff, and I have a little. It sounds like I have a lot more confidence in the Jets receivers than Brian does. But
and I have a lot of confidence in Breece Hall. I do like Breece Hall as a play this week, and I do think that probably one of those Jets receivers is going to do well. Maybe not amazing, but they'll do well. And
Picking up all
guessing which one it is in my lineup, to me, that's rough. I wouldn't want to do that, but I mean, there are bye weeks. Like if you're stuck in that position, you could do worse. But
yeah, I mean,
you can definitely do better too. I'd be looking around.
It could be worse.
Now, on the Green Bay side, I like Aaron Jones, but honestly, I don't like anything else on the Green Bay side. Aaron Rodgers can be serviceable. He could be a
and
streamer,
I do too. So I view this. I think we just view this game a little differently because I like the other side of it too. I like Aaron Rodgers. I like Lazard. I like Dobbs. I like Tunyon. And
so basically, I think we can sum this up as in you're taking the over and I'm taking the under.
Yeah, I think so. But I am gonna pick the Packers to win because I'm not ready to pick against the Packers after a loss.
So we are moving on to Jags Colts.
Jags and Colts.
Okay, so Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Indianapolis Colts. The Jags is plus 2.5, over under 42, and the money line at plus 115 for the Jags, minus 135 for the Colts.
The most important thing to know is that Jonathan Taylor practiced today. Yay! So
yes, that is a difference maker.
Yeah, that's huge news. Other than that, there's not a whole lot to be excited about in this game. Like, what do you think about Christian Kirk? He had the really hot start, and he's been struggling recently. You think he was just a flash in the pan, should have sold him, or do you think he's coming back and you're buying low?
I think he's more of a middle-of-the-road guy that's going to have some misses. You know what I mean? I think if you are counting on him as a wide receiver 1 or a high-end wide receiver 2, you're going to be disappointed. But if you're thinking about him as a low-end wide receiver 2, high-end wide receiver 3, I think that at the end of the season you're going to be happy. That's how I see him. I think all receivers have hits and misses, and I think you're going to get a fair amount of both.
It sounds like you think
you're going to be happy if he's your number 3.
It sounds like you think he's just you should ride it out with him and just start him.
Probably, yeah. Well, yeah, because you're not going to be able to get anything for him right now.
Well, what I mean
is,
but
you're
not benching him.
Be hanging on. It would depend on my options. Like he'd be an option 2 bench. Right now, depending on in our league, to me, he would be a wide receiver 3 or a flex. In that area, in my particular team, he probably doesn't make my lineup. But I think most of the teams in our league, I think he does make the lineup as a wide receiver 3 or a flex.
And you're talking about just this weekend? You're talking about all season long?
More season long, but yeah, this weekend too.
This guy loves Terry McLaurin. It is his love for Terry McLaurin knows no bounds.
Oh, after this last weekend, it's starting to know some bounds, brother. Like
it should.
Carson Wentz not being able to throw 100 yards, like. Oh my God! How bad is this?
So that game was.
I swear it's like Ron Rivera hurt his feelings, and he was gonna well, then I'm not gonna throw for anything then.
Well, he you know what? I don't. He kept shaking his hand all game long, and he didn't. He did
hurt his hand earlier. We might be underestimating the injury there.
Yeah, and you know what? I was impressed with the block that he threw on Roquan Smith.
I did see that.
That was awesome. I was like, hell yeah, Carson, get him. But, but yeah. Other than that, though, the offense looks hideous. And you know, I don't know. Maybe it would have looked a little better if Curtis Samuel didn't have pan hands. But did you see him drop the touchdown?
I saw him drop. He had two egregious drops.
Yes, Yes, exactly. He had two egregious drops, and maybe the offense looks a little better. You know, Carson looks a little better with a touchdown pass and an additional 60 yards or something like that. But yeah, it was an ugly game last night. Anyway, I was just trying to see. Anyway, we digressed a little bit, but I was really just trying to draw a line of what you think about Christian Kirk. If you think he's somebody that is in 10-team 2-receiver leagues, is he because at the beginning of the season, based on what he did in the first 3 weeks, he's somebody you just you almost set it and forget it, and now it's so where are you drawing the line? Who is it you're willing to start over him? Are you willing to, let's see, what's a good one? Are you willing? So are you willing to start say a Jacoby Myers over him?
Matchup dependent, like that. I would say those two are in more or less the same category. I would lean towards Kirk most weeks, but I would, if the matchup went the other way, then I'd be willing to go the other way.
What about Alan Lazard?
Similar, but I'd lean much heavier towards Kirk on that one.
Okay. So
yeah, Lazard needs to prove it to me.
Ooh.
To me, Lazard is a touchdown guy. The week that he scores a touchdown,
I think he used to be that way. I think now he's getting the volume that he just needs to. He needs to be a little more consistent. I agree with that.
Exactly.
But
we'll see. He needs to prove it.
But his volume, to me, puts his ceiling really, really high. I feel personally like the ceiling on Alan Lazard is higher than Christian Kirk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's because
you almost got me to put a bet on that. You almost got me to, but you know what? I don't want to bet on the Jaguars right now.
God, I almost got him, you guys. I almost got him. Damn it.
Maybe next week. All
right, we've got one more trap in the show set for later. We'll see if we get him to fall into it. All right. So it looks like Ray's already made his pick. He's going to ride with the Colts, even though the Jaguars have beaten the Colts something like 7 consecutive times now.
Yeah, something crazy.
That division's got a good one going on, just like the NFC West does, where they've got a circle of teams beating each other. Because the Texans now, and we didn't know this going into last week. I wish I had known. I probably would have picked against the Jaguars last week, but the Texans have now beaten the Jaguars 9 consecutive times.
Really?
Yeah. So anyway, that's not going to stop me from picking the Colts, though. I'll pick the Colts at home. I thought the Jaguars looked terrible last week.
You ready to move on?
Yeah.
I'm
going to pick Jacksonville. I mean, you might want to throw that on the board.
Woo! All right, he's going to ride the Jags again. I really thought that they looked awful. I think the wheels have kind of come. If you're okay, so some more important fantasy stuff is if
going with Jags, or
no, I'm going to pick the Colts
right now.
If you're somebody who's been riding James Robinson, I hope you can still get something for him, because I don't think it's going to get better. I don't.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. I mean, it's just it's funny because I was the doubter. I was like, no, there's no way this guy's coming back from the Achilles and going to be good. He's going to be awful. I didn't get him anywhere. In my head, he's going to suck. Then the first 3 weeks he comes out, and I'm watching him closely because I am very interested in this Achilles injury. And I'm watching him closely for the first 3 weeks. I'm like, well, shit, I guess he's the first one to come back. He actually did it.
He looked fine, but the last couple of weeks he has looked slower.
Yeah. he has looked bad. So
Yeah.
we'll see as the season wears on. But yeah, gosh, got to be wary again of Robinson for sure.
So yeah, I'll send out another little advisory to people, like, if you can pick up Travis Etienne on the cheap, it might be a good time to pick him up. That could be happening.
So
on the other side, obviously, you're excited to have Jonathan Taylor back. I'm not. At the beginning of the year, I was super excited to be starting Michael Pittman, and now I'm like, yeah, I'm starting him. He better do something.
Yeah, and I'm a Pittman owner in a lot of places, and I definitely like Pittman this year. And
so you feel me, like you're feeling me on that, where you're a little frustrated at this point, right? Because he just
absolutely
because he has.
But I'm also very happy that Jonathan Stewart's coming back. I think that's going to open a lot up for him. When
John Stewart's coming back, you mean like the Daily Show?
John Stewart.
Yeah. He means Jonathan Taylor.
Anyway, but yeah, when they're concentrating on Stewart, then Pittman has more has more openings. So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and so if you remember, we talked about this at the beginning of the year. My fear about Michael Pittman was that once they got down into the red zone, Matt Ryan's just not a guy who ever throws the ball into double coverage. And so if you're going to double cover his number one target, he's going to just go elsewhere. And so I don't know if the touchdowns are ever going to come and if we're ever going to get that monster game, because like what you drafted Michael Pittman for, where people got him, is you expected him to be a strong wide receiver too, putting up, somewhere between like 12 and 18 points every single week, and then every once in a while he'd give you that boom game where you get 30 points. And it's getting harder to see the 30-point game.
So we got two questions. First one is Travis Etienne or Tyler Algier?
Travis Etienne, for sure.
For running back two.
Etienne, for sure.
Okay. And the second question, starting Brady against the horrible Steelers defense or over Burrow? Good
Brady.
choice.
Yeah. And
why do you got to just say horrible Steelers defense?
Hey, I didn't say it. Our viewer, Travis Unlimited, said it.
He was just reading. Don't shoot the messenger. I would start Brady. So the interesting thing about Burrow is that, first of all, the Saints defense is not good. So people need to stop saying, well, he's in a tough matchup against the Saints defense. Because the Saints defense is not good. They have not been good at all.
I was thinking the same thing earlier today when I was listening to a podcast, and they were saying that the New Orleans D was good. And I was just like, are they really?
What are you watching?
What I've seen this year.
Oh, yeah. I haven't seen anything good out of the New Orleans defense this year. Nothing good.
Yeah.
And this is a homecoming game for Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, because they both went to LSU. So there's that. They're going to have a bunch of their family members in attendance. You want to show off for your family members. So and Joe Burrow is one of those guys where, like, when he wants to show off, it's a good thing because he does better. So there's that. However, Brady still has. I feel like there's just that 4 or 5 touchdown game coming for Brady. Like,
well, honestly, what it comes down to right now, and this is the Steeler fan, and what it comes down to right now is you start Brady. The defense for Pittsburgh is absolutely decimated.
Yep.
Our 2 superstars are both out. Our 2 cornerbacks are both out. Our inside linebackers are out. Like, we are basically starting a second-string defense this week, and it's going to be ugly. Brady is going to feast. Absolutely start Tom Brady. That's not something I normally say or want to say.
Hey, Ray.
It hurts physically coming out of my mouth, but
I think so.
But that's the case.
Yeah. What do you want for him?
Oh, and I want to throw out there, Ken, real quick. Michael Pittman, week 1, scored 27.1 points. So, like, that ceiling is there, but after he had that little injury, and now he just hasn't been what we thought he would be. But I just want to say that 30-point game that you're talking about, that is possible, because week 1 he did score 27.
Yeah, but I kind of feel like that's, and I guess I should have said like 40-point game, because like the 30-point game is, like, I'm looking at it right now, and it was 9 catches, just over 100 yards, and a touchdown.
Right.
Whereas, like we were kind of expecting he could have had the 2 touchdown, 150 plus yard games, and that's the thing that it looks like their offense isn't going to get to, because there's not going to be enough of enough. Like, first of all, you got to get Matt Ryan to throw 2 touchdowns in a game, and then when he does it, you got to have them not go to their tight ends.
Yeah,
but
Matt Ryan really
but anyway, I feel like we're
off.
spending a long time on this game.
Oh, sorry. Moving on.
And yeah, so the end result is start Pittman, start Taylor, start Kirk. Don't start the Jags running backs.
Brady.
That's a different game. So
Sorry, did we have one more question?
No, they were rapid fire. We got them both.
Oh, okay. My bad.
yeah, we did that. So now we can move on to a really fun game.
Yes.
Which is the Vikings versus the Miami Dolphins. Vikings at -3, the over-under at 45.5.
I'll be right back.
If you're betting the money line on Minnesota Vikings, you're at -165, plus 140 if you're betting with the Dolphins. So fantasy.
And this is my other guarantee of the week, by the way. This is my guarantee of the week. This Minnesota is going to dominate this game.
Huh.
Is this not yours?
I think Minnesota's. Yeah, there's just too much going on with the Dolphins right now for me to want to pick them. Right?
Yeah, I mean they're starting the 3rd string quarterback. Minnesota is starting to put things together. I see this as a blowout waiting to happen. Dalvin Cook is starting to get online. Like, I just see this Minnesota's offense as starting to kind of put things together. And I would start basically all my Vikings this week. And Miami, gosh, both receivers are going to be in and playing. But you've got a 3rd string quarterback throwing to him. That scares the heck out of me. Both running backs, Mostert and Edwards. Like, who do you start? I don't know. So that's how I see this game. Minnesota is going to clean.
So
What did I miss?
I'm not repeating them.
You weren't keeping the minutes?
I didn't hear Ken say anything, so I figured something happened there.
Keeping the minutes is such an outdated practice. It bugs the crap out of me whenever I have to sit through a meeting and listen to the previous minutes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry, Brian. I missed your commentary on the game.
Yeah, everything was pro Minnesota and anti Miami and their 3rd string quarterback.
Yeah, and what I said was basically Miami, I don't know if I said this in the previous podcast. Maybe you guys, I know I thought it, and I don't know if I got it in, but when I heard that Teddy Bridgewater was starting, I was like, oh, that dude's injury prone. Like, I don't expect him to get out of that game.
And he didn't make it out of the first series.
But did I say that though? Did I get a chance to say that?
I don't think you did. I wish you had. But
yeah, me too.
I don't remember hearing it. No.
So I would still start. Obviously you have to start Tyreek Hill. But if you're on the fence about Jalen Waddle, I would still start him too. The Minnesota defense has really been struggling.
But you gotta have lowered expectations. Like, if you got options, then maybe you'd consider them.
I don't know where that line is, but I still find it really difficult to start somebody over Jalen Waddle.
Cortland Sutton?
I'd rather have Waddle this weekend.
This weekend?
I think we're all picking Vikings though, right?
Yeah, still. And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, I would, even with his 3rd string quarterback, I'd still rather have Waddle.
Wow. That surprises me this week.
Who is their 3rd string?
His name is
Thomas is his last name.
Skylar
I don't even
Thompson.
know what his first
Okay, so this is his first at bat, right? Like,
this is his first start. They like him. He was a preseason superstar. So we'll see.
His first name is Skylar?
Yeah.
Dude, that's not a football name. Come on.
Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah, like Kyler.
I mean, I'm just saying. With a name like Skyler, you should be.
You add the S and it
field
just
hockey or something.
you add the S and you just can't respect it. If it was
Rowing.
Kyler, if it was Kyler, I could get behind it. But Skyler,
that's where the line is drawn.
You get that hermaphrodite out of here.
I'm just saying. I almost named my daughter Skylar. Just saying.
I have a cousin named Skylar who is a woman. I get it. Like it's not. I would not name my son Skylar. However, whatever.
The only Skylar I know is from Breaking Bad, and I didn't like her character. So
yeah, didn't like Skylar at all.
So
she was the worst.
You
know what? Like I found her. You know what? Is it me?
Breaking Bad.
I found her character to be not believable. She just didn't seem like a loving wife at all.
Not at all. But there's a lot of wife characters that are written totally not like wife material. Like the whole Cobra Kai, Daniel Relucci.
Is that on purpose to make people think that that's acceptable?
Maybe like they're trying to manipulate our heads. Like at no point in time in Cobra Kai should that wife ever act the way that she acts. You know what I mean?
You know what? I've only watched season 1 still.
She should have been like that wife that was like, I got you. I'm gonna run our car business while you handle your business. I'm gonna show you I can take over this car business. Nope. Instead, they went with the whole dramatic, ununderstanding wife with his problems. You know what I mean? And then she has like little redeemable moments, but she always defaults to like, I'm sick of this whole karate drama kind of stuff. And it's like, you had a better opportunity to write a stronger like wife character, and you just didn't. And so, yeah. Anyway, that was a little bit of a segue there, but Bengals and Saints.
Oh, hey, yeah. So we're getting there anyway.
Bengals.
Wait, we didn't pick this game, I don't think. The Dolphins.
We all went Vikings.
We did?
Unless you're not picking Vikings.
It's my guarantee of the week, remember?
Oh, this is the one you picked? Okay, I didn't think. Okay, cool. I didn't think this was going to be the one you picked. Let me see what I thought your second one was going to be. Sorry, guys. We were playing this game earlier where we were trying to decide which games were the shooting fish in a barrel lock of the week games. No, I thought the other one you would have thought of would have been the Ravens at the Giants.
Yeah, and that's the other big favorite of the week, and that's definitely a possibility.
Maybe you're scared of those 4-1 Giants.
That would have been my third pick. You know what I mean? But San Francisco's my first.
If I could have had a top three.
Baltimore.
So we all picked the Vikings on this one. Yeah, I'm not going to pick the Dolphins. I'm not crazy. So let's move on and go to the Bengals at the Saints.
So the Bengals at the Saints.
This is another game where I think there's a lot of points going to happen.
You got the Bengals at -3, which I think probably is a little low or high, depending, I guess, how you're going. Over under at 43, and if you're betting on the Bengals, the money line's -140, and the Saints is at +120. All right.
But you've got the line as Cincinnati -3.
Yeah.
2.5. I saw two. I saw.
According to DraftKings, right now it's -3, which is what we decided to go with as far as.
Well, that just means that line's moving because I've got it 1.5. So just realize that if you're out there, that line is jumping around.
And it's apparently different in different spots because I'm looking at ESPN, and ESPN has it at 2.5 for the Bengals. So before we get into this game, but when you're betting, you're probably betting with DraftKings, not some sort of ESPN something or other. So anyway, it's just I don't know where they get. ESPN is pulling their betting line from somewhere. It's not there.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah. So Olave doesn't play. Should I start Duvernay or Algier as a flex?
So there's still no Bateman this weekend, and I would start Duvernay, and that's for Juan, right?
Yeah.
No, that's for Whatabeezy. Actually,
that was Whatabeezy.
Hey,
so that's awesome because Whatabeezy. You have the exact same problem as a member in our league, as he has Olave on his roster, and he also has Devin Duvernay. So there's no Rashad Bateman this week. I would start Devin Duvernay, And I feel for you, man, because I've got Olave in a lot of spots, including my dynasty. In my dynasty league, I've got Olave and T. Higgins, so I'm really unexcited about this weekend as far as that's concerned. But and we can kind of pivot. So actually, first, I think Olave is going to play. He keeps moving through the concussion protocols, the new concussion protocols. The last one was for him to participate in football activities. And so I think he has to go through some tests tomorrow and see how he did, after activity today. But assuming there's no problems, he'll be out there Sunday. That would be my expectation, is that he's out there Sunday. I've been wrong before on expecting Saints players to be active on Sunday, so let's not just assume that and, set it tonight and then forget about it. Definitely watch it, but Olave is so high on my list. Like he's one of those players that I'm watching on Sunday morning to see if he's starting, to make sure that I get him into my lineup if he is starting, because I don't want to take any chances. I don't want to miss out on playing him. And then on the other side, T. Higgins is nursing an injury. He went out last week and he participated in 9 snaps, ran 7 routes, and then sat out the rest of the game.
Yeah.
It's still
and he's expected to be out this week, right?
It's unclear still. We don't know. He's not.
He was out now.
He's not. I don't believe he has been declared out as of this moment. Like
I will check it right now.
He is in the doubtful range.
Oh, well, doubtful is no bueno. No, he's still questionable.
He practiced today, so he's probably going to play. But again,
Limited.
T. Higgins, it doesn't.
Don't start him.
Disagree.
Even if he plays, I wouldn't start him.
Disagree. If T. Higgins plays, you start him. That's crazy. Like earlier in the season already, in week 1, he went out with a concussion. Like he caught 2 passes in the game against week 2 against the Jets. No.
Yeah, but this is an ankle injury.
He caught whatever game. I think it was week 1 against the Steelers. He caught 2 passes and then he went out with a concussion. He went through the protocol and then he was a limited participant in practice that Friday or something like that. And then he caught 7 passes for over 100 yards and a touchdown against the Cowboys. He's like,
and you're right. I agree with you. If it's a concussion, then once they're able to play, they're able to play. Don't worry about it. They're going to be good to go. But this is an ankle injury.
Yeah, and he didn't feel like he was good enough to go, so they pulled him from the game on Sunday night.
And they held him out of practice all week.
I feel like if they suit him up on Sunday morning, then he's going to be good to go, and I'm going to start him. I'm just telling you. That's what I'm going to do.
Red alert right there. Can we bet
there's
on
not.
that?
There's the thing is that bet on it. I don't even know how you'd bet on that. But the thing is like you're talking about T. Higgins.
If he plays, he gets under 12 points.
Sure.
Put it on the board.
Sure.
Hey Brian, can you count to 10 for me real quick?
Can I what?
He doesn't know.
Oh, am I talking? Okay.
Oh, I think I just increased his volume. Thank God, a little bit there.
He doesn't know how to count to 10. So, but T. Higgins is so high up on the board that if he suits up, you start him. But that's crazy. Like he's not a flex player. He's not a fringe guy. Like his points per target are so high that you have to start him if he's going to go out there. Like that's crazy talk. There's no way I would sit him. And I mean,
right.
And I don't really like
Glad
making.
we got bet on that one.
I don't really like making the bet on 12 points, but I don't really care about taking a shot. And you just seem like adamant about doing it. But that's silly. Like that's bad advice to tell people that they shouldn't start T. Higgins because he has a minor ankle injury. If he's going to go out there, you start him. Like that's crazy.
And that's just because you think he's going to get more touches?
No, it's not that. It's that I think he's like, okay, would you give people the same advice about Cooper Kupp or Deebo Samuel? Or
Cooper Kupp is their only weapon right now that they want to target.
But what I'm saying is
it's the only one they want to target.
But T. Higgins is an elite talent. So like his.
But are they going to target? Is he going to still get his targets with an injury?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, that's my question.
Yes,
it's not like
I think yes.
That's what I'm saying.
I think yes.
Yeah. Okay, and I'm just saying, being held out all week on an ankle or a knee, like that is a huge, or a hamstring or a groin, like. That's a huge red flag.
But this is after he. After he played partially last week, and it's not. He didn't re-aggravate it. They just pulled him. He didn't make it worse last week. They just pulled him to be precautionary. He wasn't sure if he was going to play last week. He decided to give it a go, and they pulled him early in the game because he wasn't feeling right. I imagine if he still wasn't feeling right, he wouldn't have practiced today.
So we got a question,
but we'll see.
Monster T or Ken Walker PPR?
Monster T is that?
That's
T,
what he put.
Are we calling him T Higgins Monster T?
I don't know. That's what he put.
Now in that position, like that's a really good position to be in. If you're saying that like T Higgins is your flex option, in that in that position, I'd start Ken Walker.
Okay, there you go.
And like let's put out a little disclaimer. Let's not like anytime you guys ask a question for the rest of the night that's going to be X something like or Ken Walker. Brian is going to ask Ken Walker or answer Ken Walker because he just spent all of his fab in our league to get him. He spent a whopping $90 in fab budget to get him. Do you have any left?
Yes, I did.
You have money left over?
I'm quite proud of that.
I'm quite proud.
I've got $1 left.
You have $8.
One of the teams had.
What made you decide?
I wanted to make sure I outbid him for 90.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay, thank you.
And we have another. What he thinks he's thinking of Raheem Mostert.
So.
Oh yeah, I might have read that wrong.
I'm not excited
about one just because of his status.
Huh?
Isn't he hurt?
No, but he's always hurt. I believe they held him out Wednesday, but he was back at practice Thursday. I'm not worried about whatever minor injury he has going on. That I wouldn't be worried about. That just makes me think that like Chase Edmonds is somebody that people shouldn't forget about because he's one Raheem Mostert play from getting all of that work and actually being valuable.
Yeah.
That being said,
the reporter's take that I'm reading right now says that they think he's going to play and that they're just managing his reps during the week to make sure he's good to go for the weekend. So,
he's 31 years old.
He should play.
So it's important to remember he's a 30-plus-year-old running back.
So are we all picking the Bengals?
I wouldn't have expected that we were all picking the Bengals, but I am locking up the Bengals this weekend.
What about you,
That's
Brian?
for sure.
You were locking the Bengals.
I am.
Oh, see, this is actually a toss-up for me. I was trying to decide which way to go here.
Joe Burrow is going. Like I said, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are going home. I think they're going to put on a show. They're pissed off. They're overdue. Like people are starting to talk about Jamar Chase. So it's like it's for him. It's put up or shut up time. Like he almost can't afford to have another like mediocre weekend. And it's funny.
This one's tough for me because I'm with the whole controller franchise, and so it's like
I feel like the Saints are in disarray.
I know Hill did all right.
And here's the thing:
they like Hill.
The Bengals are 2-3, but the Bengals to me and the Rams have a very similar situation going on, where they've had really tough schedule. They both had to play the Cowboys.
So that's what happens, though, right?
I just had to throw that out there real quick.
Yep.
But no, they've both had a really difficult schedule to start out, and to me, it's not like either team is playing terrible. They both have the same flaw where they're struggling on the offensive line. I have a little more faith that the Bengals are going to pull it together because they spent money on guys, and I really think it's just a matter of time before they start to gel. Whereas the Rams are trying to I don't even know the guys they're starting. Like, you guys, I don't know where you guys got. You're starting to see a little bit of the hole behind you have the skeleton armor, and then you've got the feeble bones underneath where you don't have valuable draft picks as players anymore.
So my just thought on that is Sean McVay has made it to 2 Super Bowls with 2 different quarterbacks. And last season, we went through the list of head coaches that have managed to do that. My fear is it's an 18-week season, right? Regular season, 17 games. You don't have a lot of games to figure it out. Yeah. So if he doesn't figure it out this season, he'll figure it out next season is my feel.
I think, if the Rams have a terrible year this year, they'll invest in the offensive line.
Yeah.
and I think they'll be okay. They're young because they're still young enough in important places, But you do only have so many years. Like Cooper Kupp is going to be 30 next year. Matthew Stafford is 35. And
quarterbacks are playing until 45.
Right. It's just Stafford's a little different though because he's just kind of like brittle. I remember, I
don't think he's brittle. I think he's been banged up.
But that happens to him easier than it seems to happen to other guys. Like he just kind of seems like he really does remind me of Romo. The way that he's just like he's a very good quarterback. But you just gotta don't let him get hit. Don't let him get hit. He's fragile.
Romo sat so many times with so many injuries.
Look at Matthew Stafford's history. Like
I'd have to go back and look at his stuff.
Like when he was with Detroit, he missed a lot of time.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah, he missed a lot of time.
I've only been paying.
Last year was miraculous. That he started every single game. That was miraculous. I think it might have been the first time he's done that in his career.
Oh, okay.
But he's also tough. He takes a lot of. So I don't mean to say that he's just like he's fragile. He's
Romo I wouldn't put as a tough player.
Romo was tough too. He took a lot of shots. He shouldn't have taken, and that was the thing is like Stafford did that too when he was early. He probably took a lot more shots than he should have taken just because he's a tough guy. So and that stuff starts to catch up with you. But
Bengals and Saints. Anybody lone wolfing this game?
I picked the Bengals. Where's everybody else at? You picked the Bengals.
I think so. I'm not ready to put my cards on him yet. Yeah,
I'm going to take the Bengals too.
Wow, that surprises me a little bit. I thought I was like I'm going to lock up the Bengals. I'm going to be lone wolf in that one. I kind of did think that.
I'm looking for reasons to go for New Orleans, but I do think we haven't mentioned Kamara. I think Kamara is definitely looking good.
The Bengals defense is really good, so
I agree, but you're still going to start Kamara.
Right, but I'm kind of downgrading the Saints' offensive weapons this weekend because they're missing Michael Thomas. They're going to miss Jarvis Landry. We don't really know what's going on with the quarterback situation yet. Not that either outcome is going to be very positive. Except for one of them, I feel like you flip the coin and you land on Andy Dalton and you get a better outcome for Alvin Kamara. And you flip the coin and you land on Jameis Winston and you get a better outcome for Chris Olave.
And I hear you there, but either way, I'm starting Kamara.
Either way, you're starting both. But I think that's
Kamara, looks good.
That's what you should be thinking about is like if you're the Kamara or the Olave owners, which obviously I am in different spots in different leagues. That's what I'm thinking about is like if Dalton starts, I'm thinking, all right, Kamara's going to do better this week. And if Jameis starts, I'm thinking, all right, Olave is going to be awesome this week. But that being said, I'm just not super excited about them playing against the Bengals. I think the Bengals are just a lot better than their 2-3 record says they are.
Yeah, I think
I really do think that at the end of the year they could be kicking themselves over losing to Pittsburgh in Week 1. And I mean, you guys might be upset about that too because you might just have rather had the loss and get the number 1 pick. But
yeah, no doubt about that.
It's so weird when they're going to be calling the Steelers with like the 8th overall pick or the 7th overall pick next year. It's just going to be so bizarre because it just doesn't happen. It's never. I don't think it's happened in my childhood. Like my entire life, I don't think my entire life the Steelers have picked in the top 10.
Are we ready to move on to the next game?
Yes.
My AirPods are dying. I'm going to move to regular here. Hold on.
That's probably like going to change the whole microphone concept to watch. It's like he's going to be like beautifully clear. We can hear him like perfect.
Can you guys still hear me okay?
Yeah. You sound good. All right. So moving on to one of the more boring games of the weekend.
He said he can't hear us. Can you hear us, Brian? Brian?
You guys are like way off in the distance now all of a sudden.
Well, get closer.
Get closer. Jam that speaker in your head.
You guys do your thing. Let me see if I can find some AirPods from one of my kids and see if I can go that way.
All right. So next game up is what did you call it? The boring game.
One of the more boring games of the weekend.
So Baltimore Ravens versus the New York Giants. Baltimore Ravens -5.5 for the over/under 45.5. The money line is -240 for the Ravens and +200 for the Giants. Initially, I'm leaning Ravens on this one.
Yeah, I'm leaning Ravens too, but it's fun. It's getting harder and harder to pick against those Giants, though. I tell you what, they're looking good.
You're right. You are, but I think last week was kind of there was some magic there.
I watched that whole game, and honestly, I watched. they look like a team who's just like growing up really fast. Does that make sense? They look the most different to me of any team so far. Like we're this is week 6. From week 1 to week 5, they look the most different of any team to me. Because week 1, I was like, oh, this is going to be a garbage season. I didn't understand how they got the win. In week 3, they got pummeled by the Cowboys on Monday night, and I was like, yeah, this is the same old Giants, you know. And then they got back on track and they won against the Bears, and then and they didn't look particularly great against the Bears, but they played a good game. They played a solid game. And even though they got pummeled by the Cowboys on that Monday night, they played solid in that game. Daniel Jones didn't turn the ball over until the end of the game. He took a lot of shots. He was really tough in that game. This game against the Packers, they were able to move the ball. That was the big thing, is they were able to move the ball. And Daniel Jones, he looks like he's starting to get a grasp of the offense, and he's starting to find guys. And he was he was beating the Packers with guys I'd never heard of.
So who's the head coach for the Giants again?
It's Brian Daboll now, and that's the biggest thing. That's the
and where did he come from? What tree is he from?
Buffalo. He's the guy that coached up Josh Allen.
Is this his first year
as the head coach? Yes.
Okay.
And he also came over with Joe Shane, who's the GM for New York now, and they both came from Buffalo.
Oh. So this could be one of those times.
I like him. I think it's funny because I was making fun of Daniel Jones in week 2. Like, he looked awful against Carolina. I think that game was. They pulled that game out, and they didn't deserve to win that game either. But he looks so much better than he did in that game. He looks more comfortable. He's not panicking. He's like making decisions under duress. It's annoying, but they look good.
I think I'm going to probably pick.
That being said, they're not going to win this weekend.
Yeah, I'm going to pick Ravens. If the Giants beat the Ravens, they're going to turn me into a little bit.
I know.
Yeah.
You know what? Thank you for saying that, because I feel the same way about this game. This is that game where if the Giants win this game, it's like, okay, I really have to reevaluate like what I think about the Giants, because right now they're kind of a nice story, and like, yeah, they got a really nice win against the Packers, but the Packers aren't really the Packers right now. They're struggling through their own problems. The Ravens are playing really good football right now. Lamar Jackson's playing MVP level football. So if the Giants are able to come out and they're able to put the clamps on the Ravens, offense the way that they have other people, and they're also able to score, which I think they should be able to score against the Ravens, I'll be impressed. I'm not ready to pick them yet. I'm not ready to pick them over the Ravens.
But next week I probably will.
If they win this game, it'd be hard not to pick them next week. That's for sure.
Are you with us again, Brian?
I just got back, and I just heard that last part, and I totally agree. If the Giants manage to win this weekend, yes, that does prove them for real. I don't think they will, though. I do think Baltimore kind of proves what they really are. A couple of things on defense, the Baltimore is just bad right now, especially in the secondary.
They're playing a little better. They're playing a little better though.
They got a couple of people back, but it's one of those things if somebody can take advantage of them. I don't think that Daniel Jones is somebody that can take advantage of them. I wouldn't be surprised if there's one big play here or there. I would keep that in mind. I think that there might be somebody for the Giants.
Wan'Dale Robinson
that might do well on
Sunday. So I think Wan'Dale Robinson's interesting. Like if you're somebody who's desperate for a flex play or wide receiver play, something like that, Wan'Dale Robinson's interesting because the Giants have a need. Yeah. They're very desperate for someone to come in and take targets. Like they don't want to be throwing the ball to Darius Slayton. They tried to trade him. He was they put him up for trade before the season started. They tried to move him off the roster, and somehow he's just he won't go away. And I picked him up in a couple of spots where I'm a little light on receiver in a couple of places. He's
Mr. Necessary this week. Yep.
Yeah, he's somebody you can play. But if Wan'Dale Robinson plays, I think he's one of those guys. Like he could do enough things this weekend that we're fighting over him. Come Tuesday for waiver wire.
Yeah, I can see that.
And then, God, who doesn't love Saquon Barkley? Man, that guy is great.
I was like, I wish this guy was on my fantasy.
Can you imagine what it must feel
Yeah,
like
guy
to
looks
have
fantastic.
Saquon Barkley on your dynasty team in fantasy?
Oh,
I can because I do.
Yeah.
And it is like you wake up with a smile on your face because it's like the first thing you think about is like Saquon's my guy. Like, no, seriously though, just jump off my cloud real quick. He just looks so good. It's crazy.
he looks real good right now.
It was a little scary when he went down with a shoulder injury in the middle of the game last weekend, but he came back and scored afterwards. So I wouldn't be worried about that at all. He just looks so awesome. He looks like he's just another level, of running back. Nick Chubb is amazing, but Nick Chubb doesn't have the breakaway speed that Saquon Barkley does.
Yeah, Barkley has a little bit extra there, and he's got the
another
receiving ability as well.
He's just got another.
One other thing I want to point out about this game before we move on is just that Bateman is out. I don't know if you went over that.
Yeah, we did.
The Baltimore
We did, actually.
defense. Okay, the Baltimore offense doesn't quite look the same without him, so just keep that in mind.
Yeah,
But
it
still
looks,
taking them, and
as somebody who has Mark Andrews in a lot of places, Baltimore's offense looks just fine without Rashad Bateman to me.
greedy analysis. I love it.
Mark Andrews is going to get a lot of work, brother. Devin Duvernay, though, without Rashad Bateman, you start him. I think
Good
he's
flex play.
Yeah, a strong flex play. In our league, I think if you have 3 wide receivers, he's also a good wide receiver 3. I feel strongly about starting him there.
So, question: PPR pick 2: Mike Williams, Pittman, Kirk, or Olave?
Mike Williams, Pittman. I would take. So if they're starting, I want Pittman and Olave.
Brian?
Pittman, Olave. It's Pittman, Olave, and who?
Mike Williams and Christian Kirk. Kirk is the one you can throw out for me.
Yeah, Kirk throw out.
Which is funny because now that we both said that, he's going to score 40 this weekend. But the Colts have a really good slot corner who's back, and they already the Colts lost to them once this year. Yeah, I don't know. I have a hard time being excited about Christian Kirk this weekend. And then the other one is Mike Williams, and he plays against Denver on Monday night. And now,
Yeah.
we still don't know at this moment if Keenan Allen is going to play. If Keenan Allen is,
I would assume not.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't think I care. Like I said, I think if Chris Olave, I think Michael Pittman's the number 1 choice there, and then if Chris Olave is going to play, I'd rather play him than Mike Williams or Christian Kirk.
Yeah, and monitor Olave to make sure, but I think I'd agree with that
And
one.
then
Kirk is number 4, so.
And then double that feeling about Olave if Jameis Winston is the quarterback on Sunday.
Yeah. There you go.
The numbers with Olave and Jameis Winston together, the numbers for Olave with Jameis Winston under center are absurd. Just absurd.
So there you have it. We're all picking the Ravens. Next up is the Buccaneers versus the Steelers.
Baby. It's about to be.
All right, let me just sum this one up real quick. We already went over this earlier. Tampa Bay's going to crush.
So do you think?
Pittsburgh defense is all over the place.
You think Tom Brady texted Josh Allen and was like, wait till you see what I do to him next weekend?
Oh, jeez. So it's negative. Let me read the stat line real quick.
Brutal.
Negative 9.5 for the Bucks, and
That's too low.
Over under of 46. The money line is minus 435 for the Bucks, and plus 350 for the Steelers.
Yeah. All right. So we all, we hate to do it, but we're all picking Tampa Bay here.
We hate to do it.
But yeah, hate to do it. Your Evans and Godwin are premier starts this week. Tom Brady as well, and Leonard Fournette. Start them all and
Jumps
enjoy.
like a truck.
On the Pittsburgh side, it gets real rough. Even Harris. Harris, I'd be maybe not reluctance to start, but
no
you
way
have
I'm starting.
options.
Like I'm trying not to start Harris. Like he's like.
Well, right. Well, that's what I'm saying. You're going to have to start him most of the time if you have him. But if you have options, if you have a deep bench, like
I don't know, dude. We're in week 6 now. There's been enough waivers. There's been enough running backs pop up and be worthwhile that you should like. If you're still starting Najee Harris, then you're just kind of lazy. There's
he's hurt right now, and so he is going to get better. But yeah, like if you were able
their
to pick
team
up
is going to get better.
week,
but I don't.
If you're able to start pick up Walker this week, start him.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Honestly,
so many guys you'd rather. There's so many guys.
With Akers out this week, I'd even start Henderson.
Yes, start so Henderson, Eno Benjamin, Ken Walker, Ramondre Stevenson. I
feel like we're going over DraftKings lineups now.
Yeah, there are so many guys that I would rather start than Najee Harris that were possibly guys that you could have picked up. I know that I picked up Ramondre Stevenson in a few places just a couple of weeks ago. Because he was when Damian Harris was in the picture. You're not sure who to start, but now that it's all cleared up, Ramondre Stevenson's a monster. But the only player that I would start for the Steelers is Pickens, and I would start Pickens because the Buccaneers are a little beat up in the secondary. They're going to be missing a couple of pieces.
Okay, and Pickens will get targeted.
He's going to get targeted. He's going to get hyper-targeted.
You
can
start
behind.
Deontay Johnson, but I would try not to. I would definitely try not to.
I agree with that, though. I think you can start both of those guys. I think they're going to get enough work that you can start Deontay Johnson and George Pickens.
and we're going to be behind.
Yeah, you guys. Oh, for sure, you're going to be behind.
All right, let's move on. That was depressing.
Woo!
Okay.
I liked it. I loved that one. That was fun.
So next game up, Panthers at the Rams. The Panthers are plus 10. Over under at 41.5. The money line at plus 350 for the Panthers and minus 435 for the Rams.
Man, you got to feel bad for the Panthers a little bit because the Rams have got to be angry. Like they're coming off a game. They're coming off a game where they were out cheered in their own stadium, and they've got a couple of losses. Like they've got to just be pissed off. I really want to pick this as a Rams get right game, but the Panthers are they're a little feisty on defense. They might actually still cause the Rams a problem. Like I don't want to pick the Rams to win. I don't want to pick the Rams to win by 10. Because I just don't they haven't showed anything on offense that shows that they're going to beat anybody by 10 points.
Yeah, but if you could beat anybody by 10 points in the NFL, it's Carolina this year. Like Carolina looks bad, just bad right now.
They're a bit of a loss team for sure.
They might not even be able to start Baker this week.
They're not. They're going to start PJ Walker.
Oh God, yeah, oh my God! How could the Rams not win by 10? That
the Rams. Hey, watch on Sunday. Here, Tune in on Sunday to find out. Problem. That's that. But that is the thing: is the Panthers can get to the quarterback, and that's where the Rams have been struggling. They've been struggling in pass protection, and just they're not opening up holes for the running backs either. So to me, this is like
Henderson's going to have a week with all the work, and you always start Cup. I think Robinson is an absolute fringe. If you have to play, you can, but man, I'd try not to.
No, Robinson.
You don't want to start Stafford right now.
You play Darrell, like we talked about Cam Akers earlier. He's on the outs. Play Darrell Henderson over Cam Akers this week. Play Cooper Kupp. Play Tyler Higbee. You know who's actually kind of playable if you're desperate.
Higbee. You're right.
If you're desperate because of the buys or whatever you might have going on, Ben Skowronek just gets targets.
Yeah.
He
does.
He gets a lot of targets. He's kind of he's
becoming more of their gadget role.
And in a game where they could score, he's somebody who could score. I wouldn't put money on it, but he could.
Yeah, I was going to say just make sure you're telling people.
I tell you what, I would take Skowronek over Allen Robinson. I'd much rather play him.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I'm really curious again
rough,
about this
but I don't
Fresno
wanna argue
State guy.
against
I think he could win the starting running back spot.
Who's that?
The Fresno State guy coming in.
Is it Kyron Williams? Is that who we're talking about? Because that's the guy that I'm excited to have come back.
Maybe
He's been on injured reserve since week 1.
Yeah, I've got him in a few places.
okay.
Yeah.
Do we want to move on? Cardinals versus Seahawks.
Yeah, let's not talk about this Rams game too much. We all picked the Rams to win. Poor Panthers. Poor Panthers.
The interesting thing about this next game, and maybe I'm lone wolfing the Seahawks again, but Seahawks have traditionally over the past maybe 5 years.
So what is the next game? What's the next game?
Seahawks in Arizona.
So Arizona at Seattle. What's the lineup?
Oh yeah, good call there. Arizona Cardinals -2.5. The over unders 50.5. Money line -135. If you're betting on the Seahawks, it's +115. Traditionally, over the past 5 to 7 years, I couldn't give you exact numbers. You probably could. Seahawks have been dominating, or not dominating, but they've been winning their series against Cardinals. Niners have been winning their series against the Rams, and I think the Cardinals have been winning their series against the Niners. So that's kind of what's been going on over there, that little shuffle. And so with that, I think I would probably pick the Seahawks on this. Even though
I think this is a super fun game. Actually, I think this is to me, this is the fantasy bonanza game of the weekend. I don't think either of these teams are going to be able to stop the other one. The Seahawks don't play defense anymore. They don't play defense anymore.
Well, they got an over under of 50.5. So
and that makes sense because the Seahawks don't play defense, and Geno is just ripping people up. You know, I heard the best comparison for
we have a question about
what
Geno
he's doing. Too. Sure. Let's get the question real quick because I won't forget about it.
I have Geno Smith with Goff on the bench this week. Should I ride with Geno for the rest of the season?
I would drop. I would drop
and try
Goff.
to trade Goff or drop Goff or
I would
Tyler Boyd.
There's probably somebody on your waiver wire that's worth picking up and dropping Goff. I would just keep Geno.
Okay, well, hold off on that. I just want to say, if you can afford to hang on to Goff, now this is speaking to somebody who's a streamer. I am a quarterback streamer, and looking after the next, I think it's 2 weeks. After that, Goff looks really, really interesting.
Yeah, but it depends on what you're able to do because we've
got a 5-week stretch where I would absolutely love to start him. So, if you can hang on to him that long without it hurting, if you got a deep bench or something like that,
because they have the bye week,
I would definitely hold on to him.
They have Dallas next
week. Or drop him and look to pick him back up after the Dallas game. Absolutely, but Goff is going to be very interesting this year. Do not sleep on it.
What if he can drop Goff for Tyler Boyd?
For Tyler Boyd?
Oh, I'd rather have Tyler
Boyd.
Only
if you need to.
I would rather have Tyler Boyd shouldn't. Tyler Boyd shouldn't be on the waiver wire. I would rather have Tyler Boyd on my roster than Jared Goff.
Tyler Boyd is not somebody you want in your lineup, brother.
There's no reason to have two quarterbacks.
Tyler Boyd.
There's no reason.
He's somebody you can start if you have to.
And also Boyd. If Tyler Boyd, if T Higgins doesn't play on Sunday, you start Tyler Boyd.
If T Higgins doesn't start, then definitely Boyd's going to be better. But that's what kind of a player you're getting with Boyd is somebody that you can only start because of injury or.
But you can only start one quarterback per week,
desperate.
So there's never a reason to carry two, unless you've got one that you're looking to is actually valuable enough to deal that you like.
Or you accidentally pick one up.
That's actually more valuable than the pieces that are available on the waiver wire. And that's what I'm saying is I'm comfortable holding on to Geno, and here's why. So this brings me back to the thing I was just going to say before we took the question, is that the comparison that I heard for Geno that really tickled me, and I think is pretty good, is comparing him to 1998 Randall Cunningham. And Randall Cunningham was kind of a gadgety player. He was almost like Michael Vick before Michael Vick. When he was with Philadelphia, and he flamed out and was out of the league, completely out of the league, and then came out of nowhere in '98 and was throwing those long passes to Randy Moss, and they set the league on fire. And he made the Pro Bowl, and just had a complete resurgence of his career. And if you think about the arc for Geno. Like, he got drafted in the second round by the Jets. He bounced around a little bit, didn't really get too much of a chance to start, and was like basically like they would bring him up periodically on the Around the NFL podcast because they've got this little bit that they do. It's called Sipping on Vino and Checking on Gino. And they would just jokingly bring up the things that were going on with him wherever he happened to be. And over the last 4 or 5 years, he hasn't really gotten much of an opportunity. And now he's 32 years old, and he's killing
fresh.
it. He's killing
fresh.
it. Like not only is he fresh, but he's obviously been working. He's obviously been studying, and he's been practicing, and he's been trying to get better, and it's paying off. And so
I felt like Gino's one of those guys that got
my
dumped too
point
quick.
in saying all of that is that I am kind of in on the Gino year. Like, I kind of feel like it's not a fluky 4 or 5 games and the wheels are going to fall off and you're going to, be on to someone else. I kind of do think that Gino is just going to be a quarterback you can ride all year long. And they're doing it to everybody right now. Everybody that's put in front of them on their schedule right now, they're moving the ball and they're scoring points. And he's getting more and more comfortable putting the ball in places for DK. And DK should have had another touchdown last week. He dropped one in the end zone. He looks really good, man. He looks really good.
No.
So am I not lone wolf in the Seahawks this week?
I agree with you.
I'm sorry?
Am I not lone wolfing the Seahawks this week?
You probably are.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm taking Arizona
because I was impressed with the Cardinals' ability to hang with the Eagles last week. So and now I'm not saying the Cardinals are a juggernaut. They kind of strike me as that team this year that's just like every single game they're in and it's close because they're not gonna run away from anybody, and no one's gonna run away from them. But also
I'm happy with this lone wolf pick.
They're very aggressive, and Gino has been number 1 against the blitz this year. He's the highest rated quarterback against the blitz this year. So, I could definitely see the Seahawks, kind of putting it on the Cardinals this weekend. I could see that happening. However,
I'm picking the Cardinals, but I can definitely see that happening.
Injury update.
And I agree with your early take that this is going to be a super high-scoring game. This is one of the 2 games this week that, if you're doing DFS or anything, you want to stack. There's 2 games that you need to be targeting this week, and this is one of them, in my opinion. I think Arizona-Seattle is going to be amazing.
Yeah,
I think you're starting Kyler Murray. You're starting basically all the offensive weapons for Arizona.
Big game for Eno Benjamin this weekend.
Seattle.
Big game for Eno Benjamin this weekend. Come on, baby, we need it.
Yep. I think that will happen. My one caveat would be Tyler Lockett. It does look like he's going to play. He was hit with he was held out with a hamstring.
Yeah, he might not play. So we're going to watch that.
They actually said he is going to play, but I would watch out for him being a decoy. I wouldn't.
But that doesn't. So here, I'm so glad that you said that because that strategy doesn't work this particular weekend because the Cardinals are good against number 1 receivers. So this was gonna be the receiver that you would have wanted to target in DFS would have been Tyler Lockett over DK this week because of that. And it played out last week. If you remember, we talked about it on the podcast. People were talking about the Eagles and Cardinals matchup, and they were asking about A.J. Brown. And I said I'd honestly expect more out of Devontae Smith this week because of how the Cardinals are against number 1s. And at the first drive of the game, A.J. Brown made me look pretty bad, but then he didn't score the rest of the game. A.J. Brown, I think he had 2 or 3 catches on the first drive and then did nothing the rest of the game, whereas Devontae Smith had 7 or 8 catches for something like 75, 80 yards, something like that. So he was definitely a startable piece last weekend. And so if Tyler Lockett is limited in the game, if he's limited, that could be bad for the Seahawks.
So are we moving off this game?
I think so. I think we're done.
You got any more on this one, Brian?
Nope. I like it.
Accidentally clicked the wrong button. Give me a second here to get back over to where I was at. So the next game is the Bills versus
The game we've all been waiting for.
The Bills are -2.5 with the over-under of 54. If you're betting on the Bills, the money line is -140. And if you're betting on the Chiefs, the money line is plus 120.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't
This
even
is the
thought
game we
about
were
this
talking
game.
about.
Yeah. This is the game. Like, you just got to start everybody.
Yep.
The interesting thing to me is how good the Bills have been against tight ends. So, this is the game you got to be kind of scared as the Travis Kelce manager that he's like not obviously Kelce's never going to goose you, but if he's going to put up a game all year where he scores less than 10 points, this could be the one.
Brian?
Oh, sorry. Everything cut out there for a second. Yeah, no, this is going to be one heck of a high-scoring game. I mean, we all remember this from the playoffs last year. I mean, my God, one of the best games of football I've ever seen.
Yeah,
and
and one of the best quotes, one of the best quotes in football history too. When the situation's grim, be the Grim Reaper. Thank you.
What was it?
When the situation's grim, be the Grim Reaper.
That
was what Andy Reid told Patrick Mahomes before he went out there with 13, 14 seconds, whatever it was.
Oh, I didn't hear that story.
What's your guys' initial feel on this? You guys thinking Bills? You guys thinking Chiefs?
Man, it's one of those things where
it's at
these
Chiefs.
Teams are very evenly matched. This is the cream of the crop here. But Buffalo right now just looks amazing. Like, I just feel like Buffalo is a super team right now. Kansas City looks great. Like, I've been impressed with the way they've been able to put things together without Tyreek Hill. And I do like them here in this matchup. I do think they're going to score a lot of points. But, man, Buffalo, like, God, they just every week it's like, let's do this, let's do that. Like, they can do anything they want. And that
Josh Allen guy is pretty good.
That's the side I'm going to take.
So
wait, did you just make his pick? Did you just say the Buffalo? Woo! What about you, Ken? What are you picking?
Oh, I'm on my guy Josh Allen for sure.
Oh my God! I'm picking the Chiefs, but I'm not happy about it. Put it that way. That's 2 lone wolf games for me. And Ken has yet to pick one, but I have a feeling the next game he might be lone wolf on.
I haven't lone wolfed yet?
No, you have not. Brian has got 2. I've got 2.
Wow.
There's still 3 games left. Do you guys have anything left to say about the Bills, Chiefs, fantasy-wise? Or
start everybody.
Start everybody. I don't think there's any sneaky plays. Yeah, so the important thing to remember is that, like, if you're struggling with Juju or MVS, they're getting targets every week. And eventually, last week was a really fluky game where Patrick Mahomes throws 4 touchdown passes and they all go to Travis Kelce. But they all happen inside the 5-yard line. And they're going to go to Travis Kelce when they get down there. So I'm thinking that at some point, Patrick Mahomes is going to have some touchdowns that come from longer than 10 yards out. And when that happens, they're going to start going to MVS and Juju and Hardman. So they're coming. I feel like they're coming. And like Juju has 8 targets in all but 1 game this year. So I still think you're starting Juju. You should still ride him. MVS actually did put up points, excellent points last week. I know that because I played against him in our league. And then on the other side, you're starting Davis, you're starting Diggs. I think. The important thing to remember that people might not know is that this is a good game to start Devin Singletary because the game is going to be close, and in the games where the Bills are in a competitive match so far this year, where the game's been within one score, Devin Singletary's gotten a lot more work.
That's a really good point. I really like that point. And one other thing I'd throw in there is Isaiah McKenzie. He's definitely somebody you can start on the Bills side this week. He is starting this week, and my call of Shakir from last week, which I'm very happy with.
That was good.
Do not start him this week.
Nope, you can put him back in the
He's not who you want to be starting.
So moving on, Cowboys.
Back to the bench.
Cowboys at the Eagles. Eagles. So Dallas
So
Cowboys.
many good games this weekend. There are
I know,
so
right?
many good games.
So
Exciting weekend of football.
Dallas Cowboys at +6.5. The over under at 42. Money line at +220 if you're betting on the Cowboys.
I love that they're getting like so many points.
And then
That's just got to piss the Cowboys off.
and then the Philadelphia Eagles, if you're betting on them, the money line's -260. So for me,
if you don't mind, let me start off.
Go for it.
And then I'll let Ken take over because, obviously Ken's got a lot to say here, and deservedly so. I'll say that I am picking the Eagles, and the 5-0 record is definitely a big part of that. I feel like they're feeling themselves. They know what they're doing. But I don't feel super confident about this. I don't feel like the line is 6.5. I don't feel that confident about it. Because, man, even though Cooper Rush is their starting quarterback, and that is a huge downgrade no matter what people say on ESPN, that is a huge downgrade. But, man, that Dallas defense has been freaking lights out amazing.
The doom.
I can't. They've been great. And Philly hasn't really been tested by a defense like that. So, can I see this game going the other way? Absolutely. I can see the Dallas defense really stymieing Philly, and this being a really defensive game that Dallas ends up winning. I think the odds are on Philly, but, man, I think this could really go the other way, and I'd be watching out for Dallas.
If last week wasn't a coming out party for the Cowboys, like if dominating the Super Bowl champion in their house wasn't a coming out party, this weekend will be.
Yep.
So before you get your momentum on your speech on here, the only thing I want to say is I'm picking the Eagles because they have found a way to win 5 times.
Yeah, they have, and that is commendable for sure.
Go for it.
That being said, the Eagles are hurting. And they're hurting exactly where you don't want to be hurting if you're going to be going against the Cowboys, and that's up front. Jason Kelce was in and out of the game. He's their center. For those of you who don't know, he's an all-pro center. He went in and out of the game last week against the Cardinals. They were without their starting left tackle, Jordan Mailata, from the concussion that I spoke about last week. We weren't sure if he was going to play. He did miss the game. He could be back this week, not sure. I'm not sure what you're trying to get from me.
Yeah, perfect. Just for this tequila here.
And then also the replacement for Mailata, who I'm not sure his name, their swing tackle, he got hurt in the Cardinals game. And what happened in that game, the reason it was so close was because the Cardinals blitz more than any other team in football, and they brought pressure. They were able to get to Jalen Hurts over and over and over again. And Jalen Hurts is bottom 5 in the NFL in efficiency when under pressure. He just doesn't handle it very well. So I feel like this is a recipe for disaster if you're an Eagles fan, because you're riding high, and and everybody's like, and everybody is talking about how good you are. And to me, they just have this glaring weakness where the Cowboys are really, really shining right now. Because it's not just Micah Parsons. It's like their entire defensive line is getting after the quarterback, getting pressures and getting sacks. So I really think that's going to be the most important thing to watch in this game is going to be up front. And I think the smartest thing that the Eagles can do is to try and run the football, try and run the football a lot. The Cowboys have been a little vulnerable to that. So we'll see what happens there. So I think if the Eagles players that are going to have a good game, if they have a good game, are going to be Jalen Hurts, and he'll do the damage on the ground, and Miles Sanders, more so than it's going to be A.J. Brown or Dallas Goedert or Devontae Smith.
So fantasy?
That's what I'm saying. I know that most people are just going to be starting all of those guys, and you start A.J. Brown. But I think if you can pivot off of Devontae Smith this week, you should. And I think if you could pivot off of Dallas Goedert this week, you should.
Off of Goddard?
Yeah.
Now, I mean, Devontae Smith, I'm with you, brother, but Goddard,
The
has
Cowboys,
been
the
a top
Cowboys,
five tight end,
the Cowboys have been really good against tight end, and it's not that hard to just find a tight end that's going to get touches and like maybe score this week, and that's what you're looking at. So like, I just don't expect very much out of the Eagles passing game this weekend. You have to start AJ
Sorry,
Brown.
I'm looking up Goddard's numbers right now.
You have to look. Okay,
Do you got a laptop in front of you, Brian?
I know what Goddard's numbers are. Goddard scored like 17 points last week. You won that bet.
Okay, so
Well, I was looking more season long,
But you seriously lost the James Robinson versus Dameon Pierce one.
what was it? I couldn't hear that.
You took James Robinson over Dameon Pierce last week.
I don't remember that, brother.
That's okay. The board does.
yeah, it's on the board.
No, erase that shit.
Yeah, after you take your shot next week, we will. And then, but you won. You won with Goddard over Ertz, even though Ertz did have 2 more targets. Goddard did produce more points last week.
And I would not run that bet back this week. I like Ertz this week a lot.
Yeah,
So we moving on to Monday night?
yeah. Let's do it.
All right.
Do it.
So Monday.
I am gonna lone wolf on my boys.
Yeah, we.
And I
Enjoy, sir.
I enjoyed it last week. I'll definitely enjoy it
I
this
know
week.
you did.
Honor the Cowboys.
And I mean, I hate the Eagles, so I'll really enjoy it this week.
So
I know. And congratulations one more time on last week to be able to go to the game in the Super Bowl champion
Knock it off,
stadium
Brian.
and enjoy a win. Like,
knock it
Thanks,
off.
man. It was so much. It was so much fun. I was so loud.
dude, I know, Ray, but he
I
was
was-
there, brother. He was there.
I was yelling. I was yelling "Whose house" all day long.
I would have been too. So, moving on to Monday's game, Denver Broncos at the Chargers. Denver Broncos at
Boo!
Denver.
Boo! I'm sorry. Boo NFL for making us watch another Denver Broncos game in prime time.
I know,
I'm
right?
sick of this. I'm so sick of this.
So
well,
plus,
Russell Wilson was supposed to be good, brother.
Dangerous.
They thought they were going to be good, and they took a chance
plus
and
four,
lost.
plus
Yeah.
4.5 for the Broncos. Over under at 45.5, and the money line at plus 195. If you're betting on the Chargers, the money line is minus 230. At this point, I think it's safe to say, like, just don't pick the Broncos anymore.
Oh yeah, I'm picking the Chargers.
Yeah, I think we all are. Is that safe to say, Brian? You picking the Chargers too?
Yeah. I'm
So
take the Chargers
important
here,
things
too.
to know though
But
are
I do
the
want to ask one thing real quick. Like, whenever you guys look at the lines and stuff, and you see LAC, do you just think Los Angeles Clippers? Or
Yeah.
is that just me?
I still think
'Cause
Clippers.
the Chargers are the Clippers in my mind.
Yeah.
I swear to God.
The Chargers made a mistake coming to LA.
I
mean,
agree.
that's just straight
You know
up.
what I can? So you know what my least favorite part about being at the game last weekend was? How I could tell that they had recently painted the end zone because the Chargers were were the home team. Like, I hate that. Like, get your own stadium.
It's one of those things where Stan Kroenke had to be
Get
like,
your own stadium, you bum.
yeah. I mean, at this point, all those
That's what they are.
billionaires.
The Chargers are the guy on the couch.
Yeah. I think the Jets need to get their own stadium too.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm so tired of that.
Yeah.
But you know what's weird though is that I never notice it for the Jets and the Giants. I never noticed. Oh yeah, you can tell that the Giants were just there.
So on watching it on television, I
They
didn't
just do a better
see
job.
That. I didn't see
I think they
that,
just
so.
do a better job. Like, because to me, when I'm watching a Jets game and then when I watch a Giants game, it feels like it was a different stadium. Do you get that too?
No, I haven't really. I don't pay much attention to it
To
though.
me, 'cause I don't know. I don't know what it is about it, but something about it is like I know that they share a stadium, but I never feel like they share a stadium because when I'm watching a Jets home game, it feels like a Jets home game, and when I'm watching a Giants home game, it feels like a Giants home game. But like looking at that field, in person, like you could tell. And maybe this is also true about being at MetLife Stadium.
Right,
Not sure, but you could tell that they had recently had to paint over the end zone and change a couple of things so that it was the Rams and not the Chargers.
I think nothing makes me feel like a team is more poor than having to
Yeah.
Rent a room.
Yeah.
Rent a room.
You got your own city. They missed you guys in San Diego.
So it looks like we got a big question here from I think a first-time visitor. I think
Cool.
Shane Jacobs.
What's up, Shane?
Hey there, I'm in the process of trying to get Debo. I have Kyler, Cup, Judy, Lazard, Kenneth, Connor, Dylan, Jacobs, Kelsey, Gallup, Reynolds, Rashid, Pacheco, and Kopp. I'm not sure if that's a question.
He said he's trying to get Debo. So the question is probably like which players would you package?
Yeah.
Man, you're trying to get Debo and you already have Cup.
I mean, obviously you're holding on to Cup.
So I guess
That's
so.
not an
I get
option.
when I heard. So what I heard in the roster was Josh Jacobs, and that brings me to a question: is that do we think that Josh Jacobs is a sell high candidate? Like, is he playing beyond his means, or do you think he's going to continue doing that? Because
honestly, in my opinion, it seems like he's going to keep doing it.
I think so too. I kind of think so too.
Any
So
reason why he's going to slow down.
I wouldn't want to move off of him. What can we get that list again, Ray?
Kyler, Cup, Judy, Lazard, Kenneth, Connor, Dylan, Jacobs.
I would try and trade Walker because you already got Jacobs in the bank, and you got Dylan. I like AJ Dillon. I think better days are ahead for AJ Dillon. We don't know what Kenneth Walker is yet. His perceived value is really high right now.
What's his number 2 running back though?
That's where he's at. He kind of has. I think he kind of has a hole. I'm sorry. Can you finish that one?
So Kyler
If
Cup,
Walker is his number 2, he can't afford to trade that.
Kyler Cup, Judy, Lazard, Kenneth, Connor, Dylan, Jacobs.
Yes. Oh, that's what it is. He has Connor, so he's fine because Connor's going to come back.
Okay.
Connor will get his work back in a couple of weeks, so he'll be fine.
Okay.
So
I agree with that.
that's what I would try and do because we don't know what's going to happen with Kenneth Walker. He could be awesome, but we know Debo's awesome. So I would try and and package Kenneth Walker with like a Lazard, someone in that range. Lazard. I don't think Gallup will get it done because he hasn't done enough yet. Although I think I really like Michael Gallup, so having him on your roster is awesome. But that would be my initial thought is probably try and package Kenneth Walker and Alan Lazard and maybe get him. That might do it.
So fantasy sits and starts. Go ahead, Brian. Go ahead, Brian.
Oh, just from what I heard of the lineup, I agree with that. Like I agree with the analysis from Ken there. So.
Okay, so sits and starts for Broncos and Chargers.
Man, that Broncos running back situation is ugly, but it's like all the.
You have to start Gordon though.
Yeah, but the word is that so he's got multiple injuries that he's dealing with. We already know that he fumbles.
Yeah.
And they brought in Latavius Murray, so even despite the fact that they had Mike Boone behind him, they still felt the need to bring in another running back. So to me that tells me that they're really just kind of out on Melvin Gordon being their guy. I think this could take a couple weeks.
I don't think they're going to have much choice.
I think this could take a couple weeks to figure
so
out.
much more talent than those other guys that
I don't think that's true. I don't think he has so much more talent than the other guys that you have to
over Latavius Murray.
Murray, fine.
Over Boone?
No, I don't think he has so much more talent than Mike Boone. No, I don't. I think he's faster than Latavius Murray.
Well,
but I think they like Latavius Murray because I think he presents a power running back who's not going to fumble. So,
and if Gordon keeps fumbling, that will be an issue.
I think this particular game, what you're going to see is a split, a pretty even split between Mike Boone and Melvin Gordon, and you're going to see Latavius Murray get work.
Oh, I'd be shocked.
So I think this is going to be an ugly game as far as running back usage for the Broncos is concerned. I really think it's going to take a couple weeks before they get it figured out. And that makes sense because their guy was
shocked if that's the case.
Their guy was Javonte, and when something like that happens, it takes a little while for you to figure out exactly how you're going to move forward. I think, that would have been easier if Melvin Gordon didn't have all the fumbling problems that he's had so far this year, but he has. and the offense hasn't been doing well. If the offense was scoring points hold on, let me finish. If the offense was scoring points in spite of Melvin Gordon's fumbling problems, I don't think that they would be as quick to be trying to figure out a new solution at running back. I think they'd be more willing to roll with him. But because their margin for error is so slim, they're kind of, it seems like they're panicking a little bit. Like, because conventional wisdom would tell you that it's obvious that Melvin Gordon, you just ride Melvin Gordon. He's been a stud running back in the past. These other guys, like Latavius Murray, is probably like 4 years from being thought of as a guy who could split time in a backfield. So obviously we're not we're not excited about him at all. I'm just telling you what I think is going to happen. I'm not excited about it.
If Gordon doesn't get at least 60% of the carries in that backfield, I would be absolutely shocked.
He might, but the thing is that Mike Boone is going to get all the passing work, and Mike Boone is going to get, I think Mike Boone's going to get all the third down work. And then I think Latavius Murray is going to get the short yardage work. So while Melvin Gordon's going to be getting a lot of first and second down work, I don't necessarily think that's going to amount to much. So while he might be good for like 10 points, I don't think you're coming anywhere close to like someone you actually want to start, because where I think he's going to end up, and where I think all three of them are going to end up, is somewhere where you just wish you'd started somebody else, out of like a wide receiver off the waiver wire. So I want no part of that.
All right, and I'll just put my 2 cents in to say that I think Gordon, in this game and throughout, is going to be a low-end number 2 for your team, and somebody that you want to have on your roster. Yeah, that's the way I look at him. So.
Yeah, so and I think he's saying that because he's got Melvin Gordon on his roster, but I disagree. I think that the Denver running back situation is going to take a couple weeks for it to get figured out, and I really think you could just roll the dice on who's going to end up as the running back that gets the most touches, if any of them do. And also in this game, I think they're going to be behind. I think how I like to say, people are due, because I like to read patterns and stuff like that, and I think that Justin Herbert's due.
Yeah, and I'm a poker player, so when somebody is due, that just means somebody's a loser, and I'm going to beat the crap out of them. So I tend to not go with that saying, but I do think the Chargers are going to do well here. The Denver defense, though, is going to keep things close. You do start your Chargers main guys. You do start Williams. You do start Austin Eckler back there. Mm-hmm. But I think you have limited expectations here. I think the Denver defense is good enough to where they're not going to go crazy.
I would feel that way if they were
close game.
I would feel that way if the game was in Denver. I feel more confident because the game's in LA.
Yeah, and honestly, I'd have more confidence in the Denver defense if it was in Denver. But it being LA, I'm just saying that they're going to keep it close, and I think LA is going to win.
So we're all picking the Chargers, right?
But
we all pick the Chargers in this one?
Yeah, I already
think
put
so.
it down too.
Nobody's on dangerous. All right, so yeah, I feel like we talked way too long about a game that is pretty boring.
Yeah, so next up is the Week 7 game, the Thursday night game, the Saints at the Cardinals. Plus 2.5 for the Saints.
Looking into the future.
Over under 46, and the money line is at plus 115 if you're betting on the Saints, and minus 135 if you're betting on the Cardinals.
This game is in New Orleans. Or in Arizona?
No, it's in Arizona.
It's in Arizona. I don't want to get too much into the weeds of the fantasy aspects of this game because, games can happen, injuries can happen, all that stuff. But
if it happened on Sunday,
I think, based on what I saw on Sunday, that the Cardinals are not a bad team. I don't like the way that their offense runs right now. I don't. However, that Thursday night,
Hopkins back soon.
they will have DeAndre Hopkins available to them for that game. That is the first game he is eligible to play in.
And that can make a huge difference.
It will make a huge difference. I wouldn't even say can. I think it's just flat going to make a huge difference for that team. Like, because right now
I've been all over Hollywood Brown for the first 6 weeks of the season because
you should have been trying to sell him the last 2 weeks.
No, you know what? I disagree because I think once Hopkins comes in there, he is still going to be really good.
I think
he may not be the target what I think now, but his targets are going to get more valuable.
And you know what I think? I think you sound like a scoring Terry McLaurin lover, because if Terry McLaurin if Terry McLaurin was scoring the points you'd expected him to score where you drafted him, what you drafted him for, you'd be much more willing to sell Hollywood Brown. But with Hollywood Brown being the anchor of your wide receiver room, it's a lot harder to just think. It's a lot harder to go, yeah, I should sell high on him.
You pegged me into our team and our league, and I have enough leagues to where I really look at everything as an overview.
I just like to do that, dude.
Because I have so many teams, I don't feel like I get overcommitted on one particular player. Now, there are exceptions. Yeah, Terry McLaurin, Marquise Brown. There are a couple others that I do have large shares of. But in general, I'm pretty spread out.
But I do think things are going to get better for the Cardinals. I thought they played really good defense. I was impressed with their defense against Philadelphia. They were able
better than expected, absolutely.
Yeah, Philadelphia did whatever they wanted the first 2 drives of the game, and then the Cardinals really stood up. They put pressure on Jalen Hurts, and they were able to force the Eagles to punt a lot. So, I am going to take the Cardinals in that game over the Saints.
Me too.
That's me picking against the Saints twice on this show. Take that, Juan.
I will say that Kamara is going to look good in that game. I do like.
Oh, thanks for bringing that up. He did. He looked awesome. He was. He looked awesome last week. I'm still worried, about his season-long prospects because of his injury situation, and it seems like it's just going to be a fluctuating situation. But yeah, he did look awesome. So,
sure did.
Are we ready to move on to DraftKings?
I think so.
That's right. Yeah.
Ratings another shot? Is that
depends. How many shots have you had?
Me?
Yeah.
I've had 2.
Okay, then yeah. If you're taking one, I'll take one.
What do you mean? You're taking one for being last.
So, yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
The biggest loser.
Dude, I lost so hard.
We should announce points. Let's make sure that we verbalize our point totals.
So I scored 63.06 last week.
Which
is a new time low for us.
Yeah, 63 points. Wow. Okay, so I was 154 in cash and 130 in tournament.
How'd you do, Brian? In your cash game?
Sorry. I got...
Brian's cash was 145.
My cash... There you go. 145.54, tournament 178. I did a little better there, but the cash lineup matters, and I just got nudged out.
Yep, so Brian definitely owes me dinner.
So I got second on that one. Yep.
That one game puts Ken at the top scorer right now.
For what? For
Ken's got the most for DraftKings?
Yeah, for DraftKings right now, total points, he's at the most. He is 15 points ahead of mine. And so the total points in DraftKings right now has me at 634.6, Ken at 649.5, and Brian at 609.98. So this is probably one of those where we're most neck and neck of all the things we do. So yeah, that's kind of neat.
That is kind of neat.
Yeah, and I was going to go more by wins on these than points. And
by wins, I got 3.
Ray,
Ken's got 2.
Yeah,
and
Ray
you
is
don't have any.
kicking our ass. Yeah. So let's point that out because I think wins in this category is what matters. So well done, Ray. And let's do this week. I think I'll compete this week.
So I'll go ahead and go first since whatever. Since I have it up. So for the cash game, I've got Tom Brady at 6,300. If they're going to win by 10, Yeah, Tom Brady's going to be part of that. Saquon Barkley with the Giants. Stevenson with New England. Davis with Buffalo. Evans with Tampa Bay, right? And then Gage again with Tampa Bay. And Ertz with Arizona as my tight end. My flex is Moss for Buffalo. And my defense is the Patriots.
This was your cash lineup?
This is my cash lineup.
Okay.
So, yeah, I might have back-to-back bad games, but that's for my cash lineup. So, whoever wants to go next.
Are you ready?
I'll go ahead and go here. Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah, then I'll snake it. I'll do
All right,
both
well,
at the same time.
There you go.
This is my cash lineup. It's hard to go against Josh Allen right now, especially with Kansas City coming up on the horizon here. So I went Josh Allen with Stephon Diggs as my stat. Running backs, Eno Benjamin, I feel like is a free square this week. You have to play Eno Benjamin in just about any lineup. 4,600, like you're either playing him or you're doing some kind of a counter against him because like he's going to be everywhere. Ramondre Stevenson is basically the same thing. These guys are just like matchups. Just say that they are
And
going.
the price is ridiculous
this weekend, and the prices are great. Yeah. So that's how I'm able to afford Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs by getting the bargains on these guys. Marley Cooper is another bargain this week, I think. At 5,900, he's just been doing amazing things. The matchup at New England, or with New England coming to Cleveland, is a little bit concerning, but at 5,900, that price is just hard to deny the points that Cooper's been putting up. Told you about Diggs. Godwin is my other guy on a wide receiver. I mean, Tom Brady comes into the press conference with a Godwin T-shirt on. I mean, that's got to tell you something, right? and then he's only 6,100. So I don't. That tells me that Godwin's going to have a big week. He came back from injury last week. And again, we said that Pittsburgh, the secondary, the safety, everything is gone for Pittsburgh. So Godwin's looking impressive. Just to run that back a little bit, I mean, Pittsburgh has to do something this week, I hope. And it looks like the Moose is hurt this week, Pat Freiermuth. So he is not going to be playing. But Zach Gentry will be. And if the Tampa Bay defense has a weakness, it is at tight end. So Zach Gentry, I think, could get a baseline of 8 to 10 points. And, you know, hey, for 2,600, which is the absolute, we're damn near the minimum, that's what you're looking for. In my flex, it's hard to resist Ken Walker, 5,400. I mean, what else is there to say? We talked about it earlier there. Who's going to get all the work for now, and that Arizona defense is definitely something that can be taken advantage of. And then for DST, I went with the Saints at home versus Cincinnati, who's been struggling. That one's a little bit of a stretch, I realize, but if you look at all the defenses that are 2,800 or below, man, they're all just bad choices.
Who did you go with for defense? I'm sorry?
You got to squeeze somebody in. Saints.
Okay, that's not terrible.
It's terrible.
It is. I mean, it is. All right.
If I could spot out, that was a terrible.
All right. So, for
I love you, Brian.
We'll lead off with my cash lineup, and I'm actually going to go to a different game. I'm going to get off of the Josh Allen train. I have ridden it the last couple of weeks. It's been great. Josh Allen's pretty awesome. You know, he's my guy. He's my favorite dude. But I'm going to go with Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson.
Okay. Yeah.
Because
I feel said that offense is going to go off. So
I feel like
they're
they're heating up. Like I kind of feel like there's like a 3 touchdown game coming for Justin Jefferson, because Kirk Cousins is just looking to him all the time, and they just their offense seems to be getting more comfortable as they go along, and
Dolphins. Yeah.
And they're playing against the Dolphins, who are starting a third string quarterback. So I just kind of feel like there's going to be a lot of
3 and outs in that game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Opportunities. They're going to have opportunities to score. So Kirk Cousins is 6,000. It's going to be my quarterback. At running back, I'm obviously going to start Ramondre Stevenson because it's Ramondre Stevenson season, in case anybody didn't know. And then my name is Jeff Wilson, Jeff Jr., Jeff Wilson Jr. at $6,200 that's crazy. I don't know how he's only $6,200. He's a top 5 running back this year. Receivers, Justin Jefferson at $8,900. Like I already said, Darius Slayton at $3,800. The Giants just don't have anybody to throw the ball to other than Darius Slayton. He's their guy. So I kind of feel like that's a steal. He's going to get 6+ targets, and one of them's going to be deep. And Baltimore has been susceptible, so hoping for good stuff there. To stack back against Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins, I've got Jalen Waddle for $6,200. Obviously, you'd rather have Tyreek Hill there, but you got to make concessions for budgets. I think Waddle, but we talked about earlier. I still think that you're starting Waddle and Hill no matter what in this game. I think he's going to have a great game. David Njoku at tight end for $4,000. It just seems like a steal. He's putting up ridiculous numbers. In my flex, I've got Breece Hall for $5,800, which also some of these prices are just crazy. Mm-hmm. Like it feels like they're a little behind. Breece Hall should be much more expensive than $5,800. And then my defense is going to go against Brian's defense because I picked the Bengals for $3,100 at New Orleans.
Personally, I think that's bad too.
Because New Orleans,
that's going to be a high scoring game.
So I don't think so. The Bengals are playing really good defense. They were able to hold Lamar Jackson to 19 points, at home. The Saints are going to be missing. They could be missing Michael Thomas again. They're probably going to be missing Jarvis Landry. They've just been beat up. We don't know who their quarterback's going to be. I like the Bengals.
It's a +2.5 game with an over/under of 46, which basically is saying it's going to be like 25-22 or some sort of shit like that. So just. Yeah, I guess that could be considered a low-scoring game. I don't think it's going to go that way. I think Hill's so much of a gadget player; he's just going to pull stuff off.
He's frustrating to watch. We didn't really talk. We didn't really talk about him too much, but he's such a cheat code at tight end. It's ridiculous. So anyway, that was my cash lineup. So let's move on to tournament now. And my tournament quarterback is going to be Tom Brady at $6,300. I'm going to run it back with the same running backs. I'm going to move out of my flex this time. Breece Hall at $5,800 and Ramondre Stevenson at $6,000. I'm going to stack Tom Brady with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. And then I'm going to bring that stack back with George Pickens. Because like I was saying, the one thing that was noticeable during the Pittsburgh-Buffalo game was that George Pickens was still going to put up points. I don't think it matters. I think every once in a while he's going to score touchdowns every once in a while, but every single week he's going to put up points. I think you can just kind of lock him in for somewhere between 12 and 15 points every week. David Njoku is just too hard not to start at $4,000. I think he's a good deal whether you're talking about cash or tournament this week. He's just going to be worth the money. In my flex, I spent up a little bit in this one. I've got DK Metcalf. This is kind of a gamble because, like we talked about, the Arizona Cardinals have been really good against number ones. But with Tyler Lockett having his injury, I felt it was just a solid volume play. And then I got the Vikings against third-string quarterback Skylar Thompson as my defense.
Actually, pretty good
for $3,400. So
that's funny. Ray, you want to go ahead, or you want me to finish? Or,
go ahead and
go ahead.
Good, you can go.
All right. Let's see. I was laughing over here because of some of the choices he made. Because first of all, like I say, in tournaments cash, I think you've got to be looking at that Buffalo Kansas City game. That's going to be where so many points are scored. You've got to have a lot of interest in that game. But this is a tournament lineup. And so in tournaments, I like to go a little contrarian. I like to go against the field. So what if that Buffalo-Kansas City game is kind of a defensive game? And they're what if it's 21-14 or 17 or something like that, and just points are scored but not a ton. And so now you want to be stacking other games. I think that Arizona-Seattle game is has just got a
I like that too. I just don't like. I didn't like the stacking options in that game because it's just it's hard to predict
and
where
here's
the
what
points
I
are
went
going
with.
to come from.
I double stacked this game pretty hard. I went Kyler Murray,
Okay.
and I went Hollywood Brown,
Okay.
and Zach Ertz.
Okay.
So I got a bit of a super stack there. But Zach Ertz, Seattle is the worst against tight ends. So Zach Ertz, he's not going to get nothing. He's going to have a decent day. He might have a great day. And Hollywood Brown has just been on fire. I think the Seattle defense is just bad enough to where he might go off as well. Kyler Murray might run one or two in. Between those three people, those three pieces of that offense, I just feel like there's a lot of points that can be scored there. And, if there's a lot of points scored there, then on the other side, to make a big game, then, some points have to be scored. So I went with Ken Walker. I think Walker's in a good spot here. And I went with DK Metcalf. And why I was laughing is because while we're during the game, going over the games, Ken made such a great point about about Arizona, the defense, and about how they do shut down number one. And I was just like, oh crap, I forgot about that. So I'm trying to desperately trying to get Metcalf out, do something else, but I couldn't do anything that made sense in the time that I had there.
And in that price range, I think CD Lamb is maybe a pivot.
Right.
He's slightly,
but it wouldn't make sense with my lineup because with a tournament lineup,
because you want to stack back. Yes, the stacking
exactly.
is yes, and that's the thing in the tournament lineup is that you're looking for boom bust. So the way that you do that is by picking the game that is a points bonanza and having players on both sides of it. That's how you win tournament lineups.
Yeah, so it makes me feel a little bit better, Ken, that you put Metcalf in your tournament lineup as well.
You're welcome.
I'm like, oh, okay, all right, maybe that wasn't such a bad.
Yeah, what I've seen from DK Metcalf, I'm like, I want to buy So what do you? I want him on my team, kind of. I do.
Right.
I want to.
I can see that.
The manager in our league
much was Metcalf?
that has DK Metcalf, I kind of want to see if he's interested in Jamar Chase, and see if I can get just because before DK has too many blow up games, and just see if I can get DK plus for Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
Shane, we'll get to your questions here, Shane, in a second. Okay, we're almost done with this, and then we'll get.
Okay, let me just finish up. My other running back is going to be Henderson for the Rams.
Good one.
He's the only guy in the backfield right now.
How much is Henderson?
And I think that he's at 5,100.
That's steal.
So he's a bargain,
that's
and it's a get right game. And Carolina defense just sucks.
Yeah.
So if he doesn't get 100 yards and a touchdown, I'd be shocked. To save some money, I agree with Ken. I went with Darius Slayton for 3,800. I mean, he's going to get a certain amount of the targets in that offense. How could he not? Mm-hmm. And at 3,800, it's if he gets 10 points, hey, good enough. And if he catches a long touchdown, hoo-yah.
Money, yeah.
So and then my flex, I've got Ramondre Stevenson. I mean, how can you avoid that guy? And then again, I laughed again because we have the same defense. The Vikings going against the number 3 Miami quarterback. I love that all day.
And I think all three of us are on the Vikings defense for our tournament lineup because Ray's chuckling over here. So what do you got, Ray?
I thought I was going to be alone. I never pay up on defense. That's hilarious. Sorry, go ahead.
I think it's funny that we paid up and got the same one. That's interesting. So.
Right? Yeah.
So for tournament, okay, and I didn't stack it, and I know we've had that conversation, but I didn't stack it. I was just kind of going for who I think is just going to score a lot of points, or had the potential to score a lot of points. So I started with Jones for the New York Giants.
Ooh.
Henderson, Jones was only 5,200, right? So Henderson, I also picked, and one of the reasons why I picked Henderson is because Kupp is questionable, and so is Higgins. So somebody's got to get the ball, right? So I picked Henderson. And then Singletary for the running back for Buffalo. Chase, Davis, Evans are my receivers. Tight end is Ertz because that's going to be a high-scoring game, I think anyway. And then James Jr. for the New York Giants. So those I felt like I needed to stack somebody.
Richie James?
James Jr. for New York Giants. Yeah.
Yeah, Richie James.
And then the Vikings defense. So that's those are
Yeah,
my guys.
he went, spent up at wide receiver, so that could be good.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. And then I guess, so those are our DraftKings picks, you guys, and let's get to some of these closing questions that we have.
Cool.
And the first one is this is going back to Shane Jacobs talking about his lineup. So let me give you a refresher on the lineup. Kyler, Kupp, Judy, Lazard, Kenneth, Connor, Dylan, Jacobs, Kelsey, Gallup, Reynolds, Rashid, Pacheco, and Kopp. His question: is there someone you think should be targeted with what he has? As far as maybe potential trades, that's how I read that question.
So what it sounds like is that you have a little bit of a hole at running back 2. So that's where I would be looking if I were you. But you do, and you might have that solved with Ken Walker. And the reason I say I don't love James Conner. I know that he's a high draft pick this year. We expect him to do a lot of stuff when he comes back, but I would still just be nervous about the RB2 situation on your team. And that's why when you were asking about Debo earlier, I was comfortable trading Ken Walker because I am not sold. Like he's a rookie running back. His value is his perceived value is extremely high right now, so I'd be willing to sell him. But if rather than trying to buy Debo, that's what I'd be trying to do if I were you. Is I'd be trying to buy a running back 2, a bona fide running back 2.
So his next question is Connor and Lazard too much for Debo?
No.
Nope. Do that in a second.
Yep.
Please do.
Snap.
Another question: should I pick up Jacksonville? And he has currently. Should I pick up Jacksonville defense? I have Bills at the moment.
No, that's that is it's a tough situation for the people who are managing the Bills defense, and then I have the Cowboys defense in a lot of spots. Just ride them. It's not worth it. It's
Buffalo's
the amount of points
that you can ride all year long.
Yeah, the amount of points that you can potentially lose in this situation is negligible. We're talking.
Yeah. Hold on. Say your piece, Ken, and then we got to move on what Brian said because you guys are both talking over each other. So.
The amount of points that you could lose in a defensive matchup is negligible. You know, we're not talking about starting situations for wide receivers and running backs. It's not the same. But that being said, losing out on a top 5 defense because you chose to play matchups could hurt you later. Because the Bills are a defense that can, potentially score 20 plus points on any given week. And there's only a couple of defenses that can do that. So I wouldn't be willing to give them up, and I wouldn't be willing to give the Cowboys up this weekend.
Brian?
Very similar to what I was saying, is that they're a plug-and-play defense. They're somebody you're going to put in all year long. Yes, there's going to be some weeks that are not quite as good as others that maybe you could pick somebody up to get in there, but unless you have a deep bench where you can pick up a second defense, which isn't the case in most leagues, you're just going to ride out Buffalo, and you'll have a few lows, but you're going to have a whole lot of highs, and you're going to enjoy the ride.
Then I could drop Kopp for the defense. I'm not sure.
Drop who?
Kopp? COPP for the defense?
Oh, Cobb. Probably Cobb.
I'm guessing that's Cobb.
Yeah, Randall
yes,
Cobb. He's a droppable player.
I place very little value in Cobb.
I agree. I'm with him. Randall Cobb's been playing for a long time. There's nothing about his 7 for 99 performance last week that makes me go, ooh, I need him.
So with that, you guys, that wraps up our podcast. I will, Slammy saying hi, Slammy, first time chat, and also Hello. Young Floppa first time chat says Panthers W coming off rules departure.
Yeah.
So with that, you guys, I'll go ahead and just do a couple plugs here for a second, and if you guys have any questions, sneak them in right now. Ken, why don't you start with your plugs on your social media?
Oh yeah, anybody who wants to find me, and actually it's started to happen a little bit, so that's fun.
Awesome.
You can find me on social media on Instagram, Ken Against the Clock, or you can find me on Twitter, Mr. Goodbet. And anytime you want to ask, fantasy football questions, I love talking about fantasy football. So
then I'm Clouded Jester on all social medias. We have a question here. We'll get back to that. And then what were we drinking tonight? What tequila?
Tonight we were drinking Hornitos, which is...
Show the camera.
This is a large bottle of it, and Brian picked it up, so I'm not sure how much this one cost. But this is a bottle you can pick up a fifth for under $20, and it's really decent actually.
Yeah.
Like if you're, you just like you're gonna go through the whole bottle of tequila, and you're gonna you're taking shots, or you're gonna drink margaritas or something like that. It's a really good one to just save some money.
So we do have a question. Do I get Pickens and drop Jacoby Myers?
Oh man, that's rough. I feel like you're just splitting hairs.
That's a tough choice there. Honestly, you go with what you feel there. I don't think there's a wrong or right answer.
Yeah, I agree. So I would say the ceiling has to be higher on Pickens, right?
Agreed.
Yeah.
But Jacoby Myers has proven it, and
agreed.
You know what I mean. We don't know what's going to happen with Pickett and whatnot, so you have a bit more of an unknown with Pickens,
I agree.
but a higher ceiling, and a bit more of a known with Jacoby Myers. So it's kind of what fits your team there. Very tough choice.
Yeah, personally, I think I'm. Oh man, that's tough. That's really tough. Because Jacoby Myers is entirely possible.
I think you and I, we prefer to go for upside, right?
Yeah, so
we prefer to go to
Pickens.
I would probably pick Pickens, but it depends on your team makeup.
But the way that I'm thinking, but in my mind, I'm thinking of it from a perspective of I'm probably not starting either of them yet, and Jacoby Myers is a guy that you can plug and play, as the bye weeks are happening, whereas George Pickens is he could be awesome, but he could also really suck this week, and I don't think you're going to get that at Jacoby Myers. So what I would say is if you're in a position where you can wait and see, and either one of the players is going to be on your bench, and you're just oh man, this guy turned out to be awesome, I can plug him in now. Pickens is a better person to just sit on, but if you need somebody to play, I'd rather play Jacoby Myers.
Agreed.
Okay, so another question. This is going back to Shane Jacobs' lineup, and if you guys need me to reread it, I will. Which running backs should he go after for a running back 2?
I mean, it might be too late. It might
in here and say it depends on your league.
It might be too late to go after Breece Hall. It always depends on your league and how who values what, because that just changes things. But the players that I like the most, the ones that it feels like they're just a rocket ship taken off, is Breece Hall and Josh Jacobs. Those are the players that right now I feel like I really wish that I had on my team, that aren't necessarily maybe RB1 value. Maybe they might still not be perceived that way, but to me they are RB1s.
And Slammy offers the advice that you should get Dameon Pierce if you can.
Yeah, Dameon Pierce is amazing. I'm all about Dameon Pierce.
Go ahead, Brian.
I forget what I was going to say. Go ahead.
That was it.
No, but actually, that was great by whoever put that out there. Dameon Pierce is actually he slides right in there, because he's somebody you might be able to target that hasn't reached his full value. But based on what he's doing on the field, he absolutely deserving of a start.
I just want to throw out J.K. Dobbins. I do like Dobbins.
I like Dobbins too. Actually,
darn good last half of the year.
I just encouraged a friend of mine today to trade away Keenan Allen and he got back J.K. Dobbins and Alan Lazard in the deal.
Slammy, he already has Walker. Slammy.
I knew you would like that deal. Thank you.
So
I love that.
I think we've all set our.
I think that's it. I think we're ready.
We're all set our piece. Saturday is next week. We're doing it on Saturday, you guys, in the 7:00 hour. You can find us again on one of the platforms out there:
YouTube, Facebook, Twitch. Yep.
So wherever you guys are watching this from. With that,
and we appreciate it. Thank you guys. This week was a little wonky week for us.
Yeah.
With Brian's got COVID, and I myself, it was midterms, and I felt a little unprepared. So if this week was a little bit of a down week, expect more from us next week.
Yes, absolutely. We had to tackle a new.
Yes, there was a lot going on this week. We appreciate you guys for being here.
And then also look out for us starting a viewership league for 2023. So if you guys are concurrent viewers, we'll be inviting some of our most common concurrent viewers for our league next year. And we'll probably start a Discord to manage that as well. So with that, we will see you guys all next week. You guys have a wonderful day.
Thanks, everybody. Crush it.